Hey guys, what's going on? Paul here. Welcome back to another Cardano video. And the start of this one is going to get into the overall market, the sentiment right now, the latest we have on the Bitcoin ETF and how that is influencing the rest of the market, as well as looking at how funds generally flow throughout the market. The second half then we'll get into the Cardano native asset market, look at what are the biggest movers for the last few days and what's going on there. Tomorrow then I'll do one of my Cardano catch up, which is looking at the last few days in the Cardano ecosystem, the major news with different individual projects. If you get value, please do share it out, give the video a like, comment, questions, or for the algorithm, subscribe if you're new. I do appreciate it. Let's jump into it. Okay, kicking it off with a very quick look at coin market cap, and you can see that Bitcoin doing okay, sitting at $43,500, so down or up 1.27% for the week, actually down exactly the same for the last 24 hours. And overall, when you start to go down through it, you can see there are some really big performances this week throughout the market. So everything's generally doing okay. Ethereum down a bit for the week. BNB starting to show a bit of life again. I think they started their launch pad back where people who hold BNB get access to new tokens, or they get them for free for staking their BNB. Solana, major week, approaching the $100 mark. The last, I suppose, 2 months has been really good for Solana. Ethereum, or XRP, not doing a huge amount. ADA, down 3% for the week, but I think if you talk to most ADA holders going back a few weeks ago, they'd be very happy to have it sitting at 63 cents right now. We'll get into the ecosystem in a few minutes. AVAX doing very well. Dogecoin, quiet. If you're looking at meme coins, then you look at Bonk and what it's been doing on Solana. Absolutely crazy run, got listed on Binance. I think they had a decent pullback then, but generally that's what happens across the board after a major run. Even if you look at SNEK, which we'll get into, had a massive run in the last maybe week, 2 weeks, and then the last 2 days it's been having its pullback with people taking profits out of the market, but we'll dive into that in a few minutes. A lot of the so even though some of the projects mightn't have had the major run just yet, the sentiment around crypto right now is very positive. And a lot of that, in my opinion, is coming from Bitcoin ETFs and the expectation of getting one approved. And actually, I listened to a really good podcast earlier today. Do I still have it here? This one, which I'll put a link to down below, with Eric, who is an ETF analyst with Bloomberg, talking all about the current state, some of the different applications that are there, why it's different. One of the big reasons that it's different this time is when we've had spot Bitcoin ETFs applications in the past, generally the SEC just lets the time run out and then they reject them. They don't go back asking them to make changes or have meetings to see what can be improved. This time it's very different. If you're following closely with this, you'll see that every few days there's posts coming out about whatever application they met with the SEC, and then another one has met with them, and some of them have met them 4 or 5 times to make changes to the application and try and get them to the point where they can be approved. So right now, January 10th, there's a lot of expectation that we will actually not just get one, but get multiple ETFs approved by January 10th, which some people say it's not good for crypto, others say it's really good. I'll give you my opinion on that in a minute. But just if you haven't seen them, I'd say most people at this stage have. Here is a list of at least the biggest ones. There seems to be more of them coming out all the time. BlackRock is the one a lot of people are looking at with iShares, and expectation that that will be one of the first, if not the first one to get approved. Bitwise have started to even put out ads now talking about Bitcoin. This is really starting to look at institutions or outside of crypto, people who wouldn't have thought of investing in crypto before. And actually, I think I have one of them here. So I'll play this one after. I don't want to play it now because the audio will come through over, but I will play it after. It's only 15 seconds at the very end of this. But this is the type of stuff that didn't really happen before. So for people that say the ETFs, they aren't going to be good for crypto, I think I see where people are coming from when you bring big institutions in here, and especially getting into Bitcoin, if they start up big mining setups and they start to take a bit of control there, that side of it isn't good. Price perspective, I think, is very good for crypto because it's bringing a whole new caliber of investors into crypto, and not just the institutions that will get in through the ETFs or get access to Bitcoin, and I would say eventually other cryptos within the ecosystem. There'll be more and more getting ETFs as time goes on. what it is it's nearly a seal of approval for people who mightn't have got involved in crypto before, or thought, oh, it's all a scam, or we've seen it going up and flying back down again, and they wouldn't get in because the big institutions weren't talking about it. It's nearly a seal of approval for a lot of people, especially people who would be in the older mindset of investing, that, okay, now crypto is something we need to look at. If you have the likes of BlackRock getting in, Fidelity, Van Eyck, then maybe it's something that other people should start looking at as investment vehicles too. And look, who knows where it's going to go. With one of the big things is people talking about the institutions coming in and getting control of mining setups and having influence within Bitcoin, and where maybe it's a Trojan horse or where that could go. But there is the other side of that, is that maybe they do come in and get some sort of control or a small bit within Bitcoin, but then that will also make people look at other cryptocurrencies. And within Cardano, we're all very familiar with how decentralized it is. So maybe at some point that decentralization will catch the eye of people, and they'll be thinking, okay, well, there's one that cannot be taken control of as easy. We'll see how that plays out. But some of the negatives that people might be looking at actually could be positives for other cryptos, and not just Cardano. There could be other ones coming in there that it could be negative for some and positive for others. But look, nobody has the answers. Nobody can see the future right now. We'll all wait and see. For me personally, I think if, I was going to say when, you can nearly say when at this stage, we just don't know exactly when we do get one approved, then I would expect the Bitcoin chart to go on a rampage. Massive push to the upside, but everything else will suffer against Bitcoin. So the USD price of the likes of ADA, Ethereum, Bitcoin, everything else should do okay. But I would expect Bitcoin to outpace everything else. So a chart I talk a lot about here is the ADA Bitcoin chart. So you can see since back in the beginning of December, been very nice push to the upside. But when we get the ETF approved, I would expect ADA and I would say 99% of other tokens to have a fairly decent pullback against Bitcoin in terms of the Bitcoin pair. USD price, if you look at ADA today, sitting at 61.62 cent, I would expect that one to go up. But if you're holding Bitcoin, wondering should you get into alts, right now I do still have some Bitcoin that if we do get that pullback, that's when I would personally be looking at getting into lots of different projects at that stage. Look, nobody knows for sure how that will play out, but that's generally how things have happened in the past. If you look at this one here, crypto money cycle, you have generally the fiat comes in first, it goes into Bitcoin. When people get in, Bitcoin pushes up, then Bitcoin starts to have its pullback with people taking profits. They start to look around, what else can they get into? Then they start to look at the large caps. So you have ADA, Ethereum, Solana, Binance, Doge is in there too. And meme coins, we'll talk about that in a few minutes too. And then when these all start to run, then people look at the mid caps and then look at the small caps, and generally within the layer ones, people go Bitcoin into the large cap coins on a whole at the top, which would be ADA for us in Cardano. Then they start to look at the ecosystem and start to try and put some of their profits into the ecosystem then. So taking a look at TapTools, most people here are familiar. Taptools.io, really great site if you are getting involved in any Cardano projects. AGIX still sitting at number one, but seems to be falling a decent bit lately. Even the volume of this has been falling over the last while. If you look at SNEK, still sitting in number two. It has had a fairly big pullback in the last 24 hours, but before that, it had been really pushing up. If you look at the last 30 days, still up 199%. Let's take a quick look at it here actually. So we'll go back out from the hourly and let's look at the 4 hourly. So you can see for people holding from the beginning of December, a lot of FOMO, a lot of people outside of Cardano starting to talk about what are the meme coins in Cardano, and SNEK is the first name generally that comes up with people. Had its really big push up, and the last few days selling off, people taking profits. So what people are looking for is, and if I was looking for it, I'd be looking at this level to see, does it hold support above the, what are we, 2000 level? Then if it does, potentially you could get a nice spring up to the upside, but everybody needs to make decisions for themselves where they want to go. And actually, if we look at TapTools Pro here, So this is if you hold the Tappy NFT, you get access to a lot more stats. And if we come down to the biggest trades, so top token trades in the last 24 hours, you can see there was a fairly big SNEK buy there, but a lot of the other ones are SNEK sells. So people taking profits on SNEK. SNEK is really dominating the last 24 hours. And actually, if we look at the last 7 days, let's have a look at the biggest trades. And you can see the biggest trades once again. So you have Min. So same trader here, bought Min, bought 214,000 ADA worth and sold 242. That's a nice trade. If it was the same amount of Min, we'll not get into that today, but in a live stream fairly soon, I might do it where we'll go through different tokens, let people decide which ones we dive into and which wallets and stuff like that. But if you look at SNEK, is really dominating the biggest trades on Cardano, even in the last 7 days. If you look at the last 24 hours token transfers, actually Meld has had some of the biggest token transfers. This is a wallet I must look into. Tech.meld is the ADA handle, and you can see, what's that, 21 hours ago, there was a lot of fairly decent transfers going with Meld. So this is with the Meld token moving from here into that. I don't know if that is the one to bring them onto their own chain, but I'll look into it after this video. And if we go back to the top 10 and see where we sit, we have Kopi again, had a major run up over the last month, and again that is a lot of outside of Cardano interest coming into the token. And you can see in the last 24 hours down 13.5%, but on the last 30 days still up 130%. So it's always good to zoom out a little bit. Don't get worried about what's going on right now. Just make sure and take a step back before you make any big decisions. World Mobile announced that Vodacom are part of what they're doing with their Aerostat, and there was a partnership there. But even things like that aren't pushing the token price right now. I think for World Mobile token, a lot of people are waiting to see for mainnet. Is the blockchain part going to, or not is it, just when is it going to kick in? When is everything going to start running through their own network? And I think that will be very big for the World Mobile token then. Overall, the last 30 days, and keep in mind these prices are against ADA. If you're following these prices against the US dollar, then most tokens here, even the ones in red, are up when you look at it because the price of ADA has been doing so well. And we might look at that at the very end. Then we have Meld doing okay. The last 7 days, it's been good for Meld. Volume still fairly low. Like AGIX, the volume, not a whole lot going on there. And I must look into that after this. I'll look into them wallets and see what was going on there. Then you have Lenfi, down slightly the last 24 hours, but the last week and the last 30 days, very good. Iagon, coming up to mainnet launch. One of the few actually that is green for 24 hours, 7 days and 30 days. Mainnet coming up, I think, in the next few days. I haven't seen a definitive date on it yet. NTX continues to fall. This is part of the Singularity Net. Min, again, not doing a huge amount for the last 30 days, down 1.65% against ADA. But if you look at it in USD, then it's going to be above. Milk has had a good 24 hours. This is for Muesli Swap, and Hunt from Dex Hunter had moved into the top 10, I think, yesterday, and they had overtaken Milk. But in the last 24 hours, you can see it switched around again. But when you look, actually, there's a decent bit here in the difference. Now about 9 million ADA in the difference of the market cap. But when you look at how much these tokens can move in a day, it doesn't really take much for movement here within the top 10. If you look at volume, volume's okay. In the last 24 hours, we are down 45% in volume in terms of volume. When I was looking at this, maybe yesterday or the day before, SNEK had close to 20 million ADA worth of volume. The next at the time was about 2 million. So when you look at it right now, SNEK trading is dominating Cardano DeFi. So our Cardano across the dexes in terms of volume. You see Friend, which is a new meme coin with 1.5 million ADA worth of volume in the last 24 hours. And if you look at the percentages, these ones here, they're this big because the token just launched yesterday or the day before, I'm not sure. And again, this is one of taking a step back, down 42% in 24 hours, but up majorly for the last 7 days. I think it's only maybe 2 days old. Then you have Hunt and you have IAG, Kopi, Lenfi and CGI. Actually, CGI has had a major push in the last few hours, I think, on this one. Yeah, you can see the last few hours that CGI has made a major push. I think actually they launched the beta version maybe to the public. That's another one that I'll look up and maybe include in tomorrow's weekly update. Let's see if there was anything else in the stats here. I don't think there was anything major to cover, only this one here actually. Just on the volume. So if you look at the volume for Cardano dexes, so we said that it's down, was it 45% for the last 24 hours. But over here, you could see it had been growing daily. And a lot of this was coming from SNEK. And if we look at the last year to see where we stand, so this back here in May, June was when we were starting to see chain congestion in the live stream during the week. Myself, Pete, Fareed and Josh talked a lot about the chain congestion, potential solutions and what's going on there. Back here in May, June is when we seen a lot of that too. You can see the numbers, the volume was really high back then, cooled off, and then coming into December, you can see things really starting to pick up. A bit slower today, but in general, the trend was up for volume over December. We'll see how it holds out the next few days, and even tomorrow when I do the weekly catch up for Cardano, we might take a quick look at this chart and see what things look like then. If there's individual aspects of things like this in the market you'd like to see me jump into more often, let me know. I'll try and get an extra 1 or 2 videos out to cover that type of thing when there is so much going on in the markets. Thanks for watching, guys. If you're new, subscribe, give the video a like, share it out if you think it's worth other people's time watching it. I'll talk to you soon, and happy Christmas if you don't tune in before the big day.